privilege we have to be able in our country to vote. So many of you have already voted, but some of you haven't. What I want to do is take a few minutes to give you some thoughts on the climate in our country and some thoughts about your voting as you prepare to do so. So these are going to kind of be some random thoughts. They kind of do flow, but hopefully at the end of it, we'll be able to see how this makes sense. So here we go. First of all, we live in a fallen, screwed up world. First of all, we are disconnected from the God that made us. Number two, we are disconnected as a result of being disconnected from God. We're disconnected with ourselves. I mean, think how much time you know of other people, and even you, as you've gone through life, have tried to figure out your value, your worth, your significance. When you're cut off from God, it's going to be very difficult to understand your value and your worth and your significance. In fact, I put down this thought: insecure people will limp through life. So, as a result of being disconnected from God and disconnected from ourselves and trying to find our value and our worth, we find that then we are disconnected with people. Relationships aren't what they ought to be. So therefore, there are no perfect people. When you're disconnected from a holy, perfect God, then there's no way in and of ourselves we can be perfect people. The only person that's ever walked on this planet who was perfect was Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus of Nazareth, God in the body, claimed to be the Son of God. He said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Number three, no president or human government is the solution for what ails America. Only Jesus has the solution. Now, I know some of you might be saying at this point, well, I don't want that religious stuff. This is political. Let me just give you a thought. Let me ask you a question. How is our country and your life working by ignoring and rejecting Jesus, if you are indeed rejecting him? Government is needed in a screwed up world so people can live together without destroying each other. But it's a tough assignment. We need people who are at peace with God, peace with themselves, and peace with others. And one of the things we need to remember is there's a difference between calling a timeout or a truce and experiencing peace. A truce is temporary and can be broken at any time. God's peace is eternal and permanent and lasting. And so, do you have that peace? Peace with God, peace with yourself, and peace with others? Or are you having some kind of internal turmoil in your life? Number four, our greatest need is not political, it's not economic, it's not educational, as important as those things are. Our greatest need, in my opinion, is for a new heart. We live in a nation where people need a new heart. Let me give you a couple Bible verses on that. In Jeremiah chapter number 13, verse 23, the scripture says, "Can an Ethiopian change the color of his skin? Can a leopard take away its spots?" Obviously, the answer is no. Neither can you start doing good, for you have always done evil. In other words, what it's pointing out is there's something on the inside of us that's not right. And then if you look at Jeremiah chapter number 17, verse number 9, the human heart is the most deceitful of all things and desperately wicked. Who really knows how bad it is? So the point of that is we need to understand the heart. And I'm not talking here about the pumper. I'm talking about the heart as defined in the Bible as the mind, the will, and the emotions. The mind, how you think. Your will, how you make decisions. Your emotional self, It's all a package deal, the heart. And what the Bible is saying, the heart is messed up. And if we don't get a new heart and learn how to think correctly, know how to decide correctly, know how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way, then we're always going to have a problem. And then you put a whole country full of people that have messed up hearts. Well, you tell me what happens when that happens. Only Jesus can change the human heart. If you don't change people's hearts in our country, then things are just going to get worse. As my pastor friend often says, the world works from the outside in. Jesus works from the inside out. And I want to say this, I've never met a person in my lifetime who's come to know Jesus for real, who's ever been the same again, or who's been disappointed. A lot of people know things about Jesus, but they don't know the real Jesus in a relationship in their life. 5, and let me give you some action steps here. But before I do, let me set this up with saying this. I want you to look at what your worldview is. You say, worldview. What is a worldview? Let me give you a definition. A worldview is the sum total of our values, beliefs, preferences, prejudices that determine how we view life, process information, form judgments, and make decisions. So for a follower of Jesus Christ, the Bible is to shape, doesn't always shape, is to shape our worldview. In other words, this Bible is to become a filter through which we look at the decisions that we need to make in light of the issues that we face in daily life. Listen to this. One study says 91% of followers of Jesus in America do not have a biblical worldview. In other words, they don't read their Bible and they don't look at life through the grid of the Bible, the truth, absolute truth. So we are to use the Bible as a filter through which we look, a biblical worldview through which we look to make decisions on the issues of daily life, whether it's political issues, whether it's in your family, whether it's your employment, your job, your future, whatever. If you do not follow Jesus, your worldview can be shaped by varying philosophies, experiences, emotions, other people's opinions, etc. So having a biblical worldview, I think, is critical. So here's the action step I want to recommend to you as you think about voting tomorrow. Number 1, go online and put the 2 presidential candidates' platforms side by side. Look at them, read them, think them through carefully. If you follow Jesus and have a biblical worldview, look at the platforms through the biblical filter. Hopefully, many of you who are Christians have already done that. Unfortunately, many Christians probably have not done that. If you do not follow Jesus or the Bible, then I would ask that you use the best judgment you have to come up with the wisest decision and choice that you can make. Finally, pray and ask God to give you a sense of how you're to vote. Then, vote. You think about that.